shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday Mindshift, the clarity you've been craving, the shift you didn't know you needed. Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be watching from. Thank you for joining. And I'm happy to have you here for this week's Monday Mindshift, the self you built to survive. So I often talk about identity, who we are, who we think we are, who we're becoming. So today we're going to talk about that identity that has been built to get us to where we are now. Often we become the reliable one, the resilient one, the fixer, the force, because you had to. That version of you protected you. But the identity that protected you is not the one that will free you. Today, we'll map the survival self you perfected. We'll look at the shadow costs of your top strengths and practice moving from protection to freedom without having to burn your whole life down. Audre Lorde says it this way: your silence will not protect you. All right, I got some slides today. The self you built to survive. Why your strength is now holding you back. So, we all have strengths. Strengths that we've developed because of the experiences in our own life. But those strengths can also have a shadow side. You'll see on the map on the screen, you have the strength of reliability, and it brings a gift of stability. But sometimes the cost becomes over-functioning. And that's not new. My slide is off, but it's not new. This can also bring resentment. And you'll see the other ones. So I'd love to, Meryl, thank you for joining. Good evening, Cyrus. Welcome over there in northern New Jersey and over on the other side of the pond. Anybody else who might be joining. So I'd love to hear from people in the chat, whether you're watching on Team Live or Team Replay. Fill in the prompt at the bottom of the screen. My go-to strength is, Tracy, welcome, and Mark, thank you for joining. My go-to strength is, when I overuse it, the cost is. So if you want to put that in, that would be great. Brene Brown says it this way: you can't get to courage without walking through vulnerability. So as we saw in the first picture here, our armor keeps us safe, but it can later block connection, creativity, and our timing. So why does this identity even exist? How did it begin? If you're able to, Go ahead and close your eyes, think back in your life, and try to find the first or most vivid time that you decided this. I'll be the one who blank, so I never feel blank again. And think about it. Look at what happened. Who taught you this? What did you vow at that time? Viktor Frankl says, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. In order to change, we have to know where we're starting. Right? As I've often said in my lifetime, that I learned from my old military days, that if I don't know it's broken, how can I fix it? And often life is so busy, there's so many distractions, etc., that we just run on autopilot. We're not even aware of these underlying scripts until we take a breath, take a pause, and explore ourselves, our life, our experience, right? So, talking about the nervous system and why does the armor get stuck? Why does the armor that protected us later become our own trap? It has to do with the way our nervous system works. That prolonged stress trains our nervous system to that safety comes from being under armor. Right? That armor is what keeps us safe. And that puts us into can put us into the 4F mode, right? The fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And it starts to give us rewards for over control. We start to get those chemical rewards for numbness. Right? As Stephen Porges shared in, is this the right slide? No, it's this one. In what's called polyvagal theory. When we're safe, we're curious, we're creative, we can create connection. The 4F mode is mobilization. It's the fight, flight, overdrive mode. Numbness, shutdown, withdrawal. Our survival self lives in that zone, that lower zone. And Lisa, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. Anyway, so these identity-based habits, I'll be the one who, right? I am the dependable one. James Clear said in Atomic Habits that identity drives behavior. So if you believe I'm the dependable one, you will act as the dependable one, even when it hurts you. But by naming it actively, consciously, you actually can dampen the reactivity and bring back choice. And they've done studies on this with functional MRI and shown that when people name what's trapping them, the reaction reduces in the brain. I say name it to tame it. The only way to ease our pain is to go through it. So how do we move forward? It comes from the armor to asset reframe. This is our first practice. We don't eliminate or trash. Nicole, thank you for joining. And thanks, Meryl, for spreading the word. We don't trash the strength. Our strengths are important, they're valuable. We just have to recontract it. You might have an old rule, your survival rule: be reliable no matter the cost. So we replace it with a new rule: be reliable when it's in alignment with my capacity and values. Sadness is okay, and we will feel sad, Tracy. Sharon, welcome over there in sunny Phoenix. So we can use a worksheet that you can create, and I didn't get the slide created for this. Actually, I mixed up some slides there. But if you make 4 columns, column 1 is the strength. What is your strength? Column 2 is the gift it brings you. Column 3, write down the cost of overusing it. And column number 4, choose a new boundary or behavior. Here's an example. Let's say your strength is calmness. The gift of calmness is you can easily de-escalate situations, right? But the cost is sometimes that calmness, that de-escalation causes you to silence yourself, to not speak up when you know you should or you want to. Could be at a meeting, could be with a situation. And then a new rule could be, I express my needs before I de-escalate the room. This one is mine, actually. I've had to learn, because I was always the calm, the balanced, avoiding conflict, very good at de-escalating situations. I can remember a time when my wife and I were young, we managed apartments, and one of the tenants came to the office screaming and yelling. Well, my wife took his energy and she started screaming and yelling, which just made him scream and yell more and made her scream. And we've all seen this escalation, right? Where one person's yelling and escalating and the other person escalates, which causes them to escalate, and it just keeps going and going and going unless somebody or something steps in. So I actually took this tenant aside, got them separated, and was able to de-escalate, calm them both, let them calm both down and find a solution, because it's very difficult, almost impossible, to find a solution when everybody's in this 4F mode. I mean, if you think about it, when you're in school and you're feeling nervous or anxious about the test, what happens? All your answers, all the things you already knew, disappear, don't they? If you're feeling nervous and anxious. But if you're able to stay calm, the answers are there, the memories are there. How many times have you walked out of a test, struggled over an answer, and as soon as you got out of the test and the pressure was off, boom, there's the answer? I've had it in work where I'm stressing because I want to get this problem fixed and like trying all these solutions and nothing's working, and I'm just so frustrated. And I used to just go outside, get some fresh air, maybe get a coffee or a Coke or something, and just not think about it. Just kind of relax a little bit, and boom, ideas came flooding back. I love that, Sharon. Name it to tame it. Yeah, once you know what the old rule is, you can rewrite it with a new rule. Carol Dweck says it this way: failures might still hurt, but they don't have to define you. All right. So this is one practice. This is the armor to asset reframe. Practice 2. And I see importing a PowerPoint to Restream. I got to work on my structure. Practice 2 is called parts work. Inside you and me and everyone here is a protector. It's what we call the survival self. And then there's the version, the self, who has the clarity, who can make good decisions and lead properly. What we want to do is we want to meet that protector with respect, not force. We're not trying to challenge the protector. The protector serves a purpose. So we want to meet them on polite ground, right? Neutral ground. So if you're able to, close your eyes, locate the part of you that insists on being the fixer, the performer, the rock, the base of calm, whatever it is. Think about it. Feel it. Where in your body does it live? What are you afraid would happen if you just relaxed on this? Ask it this. What are you afraid would happen if you relaxed? Asking that part of you, the protector, what job have you been doing for me all these years? Show it gratitude. Thank it. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for getting me to where I am today. Then you can ask it, what new, smaller job could you do now that I'm safer? We're not trying to terminate it. This isn't a layoff. This is a reassignment. You might be something like, tap me when I'm truly in danger and not just when I'm uncomfortable. Because a lot of times that slight discomfort, that protector fires up, gets in the ready and starts working. As you see on the slide, we're not trying to fire the protectors. We want to reassign them and give them a new job. Let them do what they do best, but in a safe and healthy way, in a way that lets us operate where we want to, where we need to. Because often that protector has worked overtime, limiting us because it was trying to keep us safe. So we just simply let it know that you see it. Thank it. I'm grateful for your protection. Let's look at a new job you can do. So as soon as the slide loads, think of this. You bought a suit. It might have been your power suit. Made you feel invincible. At the time you bought it, it fit. It fit well. But today, it's like you're constantly pulling at the collar, you're feeling bound up. You're tugging. The sleeves are digging into your shoulder, maybe. The waistband is digging into your hips. It's very uncomfortable. But you keep wearing it because that's what makes me impressive. I have my suit. Look at me. People will recognize me. I'm Shawn Michael, the Monday Mindshift guy, or whatever. But the fact is, we're not here to be impressive. We're here to be free. So my question is, what's your tight suit? Where is it squeezing? Is it workload? Is it your tone? Does it show up in your relationships? Where is this suit that used to fit? It was your power, but now it's constricting, it's suffocating you. It's limiting you. Joseph Campbell. I love Joseph Campbell and his hero's story, hero's journey. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. What are you afraid of? What is that suit holding you back from? What is that identity keeping you from? Because you don't have to keep wearing the same suit. All right. Practice number 3. I call this the 2-chair dialogue. Imagine you have 2 chairs, or it could be 2 columns on a sheet of paper. Hello, Christy. Welcome. And Annie, welcome, welcome. So you could actually set up 2 chairs facing each other, or 2 columns on a sheet of paper. The first chair is your survival self, that protector. And write something like, I keep us safe by blank because I'm afraid blank. Let's get clear. What is that protective part of us, that survival self? What is it trying to tell us? As you see on the slide, what do you need me to know? What are you protecting me from? What is your job? What are you doing? In chair B or column B is your emerging self. As we said, thank you for protecting me until now. But here's what's true now. Here's how we can gain safety and freedom. And give yourself 3 minutes at least. And write both voices. What is the survival self trying to tell you? What does the emerging self want the survival self to know? Right? And think of it this way. Safety first, freedom next. We want to build both. I'd love it if anybody wants to share like what they've discovered in their life where their protector was trying to keep them safe by doing something. Love to hear from you. What was it afraid of? What was the fear that it was protecting you from? I love it, Nicole. No desire to impress. When you're comfortable in the actions you take. That's a good one. Yes. When we are comfortable with ourselves, we are operating in the evolved identity. We learn to be comfortable. We get comfortable with the actions we take because, as James Clear said, identity leads behavior, right? The funny thing is, Tracy will get a laugh out of this. The 1 hour Sean show, I tried to have this mapped out for an hour. I'm not even at halfway. And here I am running out of things on my list. All right. And I know there's a major lag from LinkedIn to Restream. So this, did I not update this? So the 2 chair, sorry, that was practice 3, not practice 2. Practice number 4. Stephen, yes, great point. What do you think? What are you trying to protect me from? Emerging self, how do I feel? Thank you for joining. To everyone, I appreciate everyone who joins, live, replays, whatever. All right, that is it for my presentation slides. So we can do. Okay, how do I get this back? I'm not sure. There we go. Okay. Still figuring out the tech on Restream. So I do have a 4th exercise. Interesting, Nicole. You don't need a list. We survive some situations and take what we learned as a stepping stone. Keep learning and emerging will be inevitable. Most of the time, yes, but I've seen it a lot of times where we do get stuck on things. All right, I'm going to try something else here, and that might not work because my computer's already starting to be a dog. All right, let's see. It's all a gamble here. Let's see. Remove. Switch this. There we go. Hide that. All right. So practice 4, and what we call the boundary script. So we start with our values. What okay, I figured this out. So, values check. What are your top 3 values right now? Tufael? Good question, Nicole. And a lot of it is to go from survival mode into thriving mode. It's using, like, evaluating what is the protector? What was it protecting us from? What did it build its identity around protecting us from? And acknowledging that, showing it gratitude, and then finding a way for it to still use its abilities, but in a more positive way. I will definitely come back to that. So, values check, 3 words. What are your top 3 values right now? Peace, joy, serving. Love it, Annie. So then we have our boundary script. It looks like this. To honor this value, choose your value, I will do specific behavior. What will you do to honor the value? What will you not do to protect that value? Honesty, integrity, and brevity. Love it, Tracy. And then if X happens, so if something, one of those things that violates our value happens, I will pause and choose instead of defaulting, because often we're just operating from our default behavior, right? So we're making a plan. This goes back to like my military training, where it's not that we're basically, we train over and over and over to update the default behavior, right? We faced the challenge, the difficulty again and again and again in a safe environment, so that when the stakes were higher, we could have a better default behavior. It works in non-war situations too. All right, so here's an example from my let's see, I know I can do this. That's left, right. No. There we go. So, one of my values is presence. To honor presence, I will leave 15-minute white space blocks daily. So, I give myself time blocks in my schedule to just be present in the now, to let go of all the distractions and the calls for my attention, etc. It's like my dedicated time to just focus and center and be prepared for what's coming, what could come. To protect energy, I will not accept next day requests after 5 p.m. I'm big on energy, so I have boundaries like this to protect that energy. I have a friend who drains my energy, so visits with that friend are limited to 1 hour max. We schedule it appropriately. And then the third, the X, if urgency spikes, so if something becomes very, very urgent and calling my attention, then I practice a 6-count exhale, taking deep breaths before answering. This one was really important for me because I was a chronic people pleaser for most of my life. So I would quickly say, yeah, sure. I can do that. I can volunteer for that. I can help you move. I can do this. I can do that, because I believed the old identity, the protection was say yes or they will reject you. So the protection was you have to say yes so that you are connected, or your friends won't like you, or they'll reject you. That was a learned behavior. It happened early in my life. My dad would do something for me, and when he asked for me to do something, he would say, well, you remember when I did da 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 da? It was always an exchange. It wasn't like my dad didn't just do things because I was his son. It was an exchange. And today, most of my life, I resented that. And I worked really hard to get past that. And Andre, I'm glad to see you popping in here too. Thank you for joining. I had to learn through practicing these practices, right? Having conversations with the protector side of me, the survival self, getting clear, where did it come from? Rewriting the beliefs that not everybody's going to like me. And that's okay. I saw a recent post on Substack, a note. Somebody was sharing a story. They saw their niece who asked another child, like, hey, do you want to do something? Good one, Nicole. Anyway, the little girl asked, hey, do you want to play whatever? And their kids were like, no. She's like, okay. She just walked away and went and did her own thing. Kids are so wise in this way. They're not caught up in all this stuff, especially younger kids, and they can teach us so much. Right? As adults, we have these old conditioned beliefs that, if someone says no, they're rejecting me. It usually has absolutely nothing to do with you. A lot of times it has nothing to do with you. They're busy. They don't want to interrupt and restart the game or whatever. So as adults, if we can learn to just like, okay, they said no. Okay, I can go do my thing. Right? As Nicole shares, as Nick shares, trying to support everybody else left no time for her to take care of herself, to do her own posts, to do her own engagement. And that's important. It's also a lesson I've had to learn. Like, always busy trying to support others, wasn't taking care of myself. I work with my wife on this too, as a mother, as a wife, with everything she's had in her experience. Learning it's okay to take some time for you alone. In fact, in a couple of weeks, I'm sending her to a hotel to celebrate the release of her book. It's not quite ready yet. Like, the book's published, we're just waiting for approval. Then we'll start sharing it. But not just the book, but, the healing that she's gotten through. And, she's been working really hard so that I could do more of this. She's been working really hard on English tutoring, trying to get ready for, try to support, to carry more of the load. But I think one of the key quotes from today that I want you to remember: name it to tame it. If you don't name it, it will control you. Once you name it, then you can tame it. All right, let's turn. I'm really happy that the screen sharing worked. And I snapped back. Great. Yes, Andre, kids, my 7-year-old teaches me more than he even knows, I think. I don't know how much he knows I learned from him. Here's a one sentence that you can practice saying to yourself in your most honest words, the truest sentence I can say about my survival self is blank. And you fill in the blank. The truest sentence about my free self is blank. You fill in the blank. And then I have a 7-day experiment for you. Pick one of your overused strengths, run your new rule. Once you've gone through and created the new rule, right? Looked at the strength, what is the gift, what is the cost, and what is your new rule that protects you, that doesn't overuse the strength. Use the strength. That's your strength. Run the new rule when you're using your strength instead of the old rule. Journal what shifts. Notice what's happening for you. I'll leave you with this quote on this teaching, and then I'm going to open it up to guests. You don't need to be less strong. You need to be more whole. Right? This is about integrating ourselves. And I thank you for that, Nicole. I will. Here's our link if anybody wants to join. I'd love to hear your voices, what you have to think, what your thoughts on this are. Once again, I really appreciate everybody coming and joining and interacting and sharing. It's very much appreciated. So I put it in the LinkedIn chat. It's out on YouTube as well and on the screen covered. Love to hear from you. I've run through my whole prepared script. Did better today, didn't I, Tracy? Exciting, exciting stuff. I'm waiting for the ding. I don't know how fast. Oh, yep, it's on screen. Okay. Questions, comments. Let me go back to that one question. Here we go. How do we move out of survival mode to thriving? It's an excellent, excellent question. And I've got somebody on stage. Mr. Enny.
You. How you seeing me? I don't know how you see me. Okay, fine.
Yep, I just had to push the right buttons.
Yeah, no, I got two different cameras. So one camera is
Oh, you just vanished.
no, I'm here. I'm here.
You
Who's this?
ghosted me.
I'm here. No, I'm here. How are you doing?
I am doing excellent. How about you?
I'm all right. Getting on. Yay! Getting on.
Getting on.
I am.
So how
Let's,
what did you get from what I shared about the survival self?
okay. All right. Hold on. I'm listening. I'm listening to myself. Okay, right. I can hear myself an echo. So I was kind of like, what's going on? Okay, I'm all right. I'm all right now. I think you can still hear me, right?
Yes, I still hear you.
You always talk deeply, Sean. You know, you always think deeply, which is admirable. You know, it's your expertise in this line of work. You know, of course, I like. I guess I like this chair exercise. Like, almost like talking to your younger self, your better self. Maybe it's a better way of putting it. Yeah, it's always good.
Well, and it's very, very powerful. I've actually seen a lot on this about, as I said, this is about wholeness because a lot of times we've fragmented our who we are.
Mm,
And I've actually seen it like in some of my training where guiding the client, they actually like you could see them shift. It was like multiple personalities,
mm,
literally. But he worked through and went to integrate it all back so she could be a whole person. And that's a lot of what the chair is to have the conversation with that other version of yourself to understand and try to bring it back together.
mm. Yeah,
Let it operate in its strength to do what it does well, but in a positive way where it's not doesn't have a chokehold on you.
yeah. I suppose I think finding peace, whatever that looks like, that I think is my whole self. That I think is my complete happy self. But what that means in practical terms is it's a long conversation with myself, right?
On the
It's
surface, what does peace mean to you?
it's a state of being, which I guess I'm lucky. I feel lucky. I get to live in that place of feeling in control, feeling as if things are easy, not worrying about anything. Like literally, what you see is what you get, and every day is almost to my happiness. It doesn't mean I don't do any work. It just means I'm not anxious. I'm not worried. Half the time, I couldn't care less what other things, what goes on really. So it's all about me, but it's about me in a good way. I think you know.
Yes, I understand because peace is like a top value for me. I mean, it's part of my star sign. I'm Libra, so I like balance and don't like. I try to. Most of my life I ran from conflict like it was COVID
Mm.
or something. And
Yeah.
sometimes in life you can't run from every conflict. Sometimes
Mm.
you got to face it,
Mm.
right? And I think that's the wisdom, right? Is like, okay, do I stand up and deal with this head on,
Mm.
or is this, you know, just let it go? It's not a big
Yeah.
deal.
I think I'm a big proponent of let it go. So again, part of my piece is not to let anything get in my anything get in my head. Full stop. I think you have
Right.
to work. As I was saying the other day, you have to work very, very hard to truly annoy me. Yeah, no, you have to work hard and keep going and put all your effort into it before I'll notice that you're trying to annoy me. I'm like, is that what you're trying to do? Even then, I'm still gonna look at you and laugh. I'm not gonna be, yeah, because like I say, any little bubble is the place to be, and I refuse to let anyone in apart from my happy self.
Yes.
Wait,
Well, you sparked an old thing. I haven't said it in years, but I used to say this all the time. There's a saying we had in when I was younger, like water off the duck's back, right? Just
mm,
let it be like water off the duck's back. My behavior was when something was trying to get in my bubble, as you just said, I just went quack quack waddle waddle. That was
sensible,
my that was my
sensible.
little it was my little reminder. Quack quack waddle waddle. I'm not going to let it in the bubble. I'm not going to
Yeah,
let it affect me because it's not mine to carry.
Mm,
But how many times in life do we pick up somebody else's bag of crap,
mm.
or we let them put it on our back?
Well, I suppose no, it's is that weird juxtaposition with boundaries, and I think that no, that's the next thing you mentioned. That's the practical exercises, and I thought I, I don't know if I have. Of course, I have boundaries, but my boundaries they're about what gives me joy. That's no. It's a weird thing to explain about. I can't say to you, Sean, I clock off at this time. I don't do that. I can't say to you, if you do X, Y, Z, I will get annoyed because I won't. I choose what I'm going to get annoyed. Well, whatever you do. So yeah, I don't have hard and fast boundaries as such. I really don't. I try and find what is the rule. Where's the line? I'm like, I don't know. The line is just.
Well, and boundaries, like, we could do a whole 3 hour talk on boundaries, couldn't we? Because it's so many levels and misunderstandings. Like, I believe that when you are solid in your values and what you're trying to, like, the exercise for, right? What behavior are you willing to do? Are you going to do to gain the value? And
Mm,
what will you not do, or what will you not allow? And that's the boundary to me, is,
mm,
to protect this boundary, I will do A. To protect this boundary, I will not do Z.
mm,
If those something violates that, this is how I proceed.
mm.
I'm going to welcome Stephen. Stephen has joined us as well.
I like Stephen. How you doing? It's been a minute, Stephen. We haven't seen you for a while, my friend.
Oh,
Okay, your
we're not
sound
getting your
is.
sound.
It helps if I
There it
unmute.
is.
So it has been a minute, And how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm living the life. Living the
Is that
life.
is that a phoenix behind you?
Yeah. And, well, nice. I killed my old brand, and the rebirth looks like that.
It is absolutely beautiful. You know,
Appropriate.
it what a great conversation. I just did a post about it was called the session that didn't work until it did, and it's this idea that within hypnotherapy, sometimes we can have clients that say something didn't work, and then and this particular client came back and told me that a week later they told me in the session that didn't work, and I said, well, hey, that's okay, sometimes it comes up later on, and they made it a point to call me back a week later and said not only didn't work, but after 10 years of therapy, this is what we talked about in the session. After, they had 10 years of therapy, and they told me all the things that didn't work. And I just asked a subtle question. It's like, well, what's missing? And we kind of wove through that little arc. And then after the session, I said, well, what was helpful for you? And they said nothing. And I go, that's okay. But what was interesting is a week later, they called me back and said, to tell me that not only was my session completely ineffective, but on their own, they discovered what was missing for them in all the 10 years of therapy. And they came up with a solution. And I found it interesting because we were talking in the session about what was missing, and that became the focal point. We talked about what she liked, and all the different things that were good, and it opens up that door of possibilities. So just like what you're talking about, it does not matter how people perceive the work that we do, or the interactions that we have. And if your goal is to be helpful, if your goal is to make a difference, sometimes you can see embedded within those, what other someone else might view as ego challenging. You see that actually there's great success there. Someone had a breakthrough that they've been trying for 10 years, and then after one session, however, whether it's related or not doesn't really matter. After one session with you, they had a breakthrough that they've been trying for 10 years. And so, I look at that and I say, my my values, and this, I share the same thing with you, Sean, that I'm sensitive, so I don't like the experience of conflict. It just does not sit well with me. It doesn't feel good, and so I avoid it because I don't like that feeling. But then as we mature, as we become more emotionally regulated, we can actually set that emotional tone. We can gravitate towards joy or peace or calm or whatever it is. And so my values are growth, presence, love, empowerment, faith, and integrity. I made a list of them while you were, and then community is the last one. I made a list of my top 7. So, and unfortunately, I have to leave because I've got a session in 2 minutes. But um, what
I thank you for
how
coming
does that
up,
resonate
Stephen,
with
and
you?
sharing.
I really appreciate what you do, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I resonated a lot with it, Stephen. As a helping professional, I light up when the people get the result they sought. I don't need the pat on the back and say, "Oh, Of course, I like it. I'm a human. When you talk to me and you ask me that question, it
Our
really
egos,
shifted.
our
Who
egos light up.
doesn't like it? Right? But at the end of it, if their life changed for the better, even if they say, "Oh, well, it was ineffective. It didn't work," thank you for your time. I'm good. I'm still happy because I see myself as a catalyst. I'm not a change worker. I'm not changing anybody.
And
I'm
as an
just
empath,
providing the right reactions so they can change.
I call
And when
myself.
you shared the story about your client, it reminded me of an old story I heard about Erickson. A man went to see him to quit smoking, and they asked him afterwards, like, "How was your visit with Dr. Erickson?" And he's like, "Oh, he's a really nice guy. He told me this story and blah, 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 but we didn't really do much." And he's like, and so they go, "Well, what about your smoking?" He was like, "Oh, that thing, I gave that up." Like he quit smoking, but he didn't even know why.
Yeah, and it's amazing that, like Wayne Dyer said, that someone came to one of his seminars, and she said this was a waste of time. I didn't get anything out of it, except that I'm no longer afraid of death. But other than that, nothing. He's like, oh, okay. So, well, I got to
Right.
run.
And again, yeah, all
Yeah,
right. Thank you,
yeah. Please,
Stephen.
share the link
I'll,
for your event.
I,
Share the
I'll
link for your event.
oh, thank you. I'll catch the replay. I really appreciate the two of you. Keep up the good work.
It's
Likewise, sir.
of course, my friend. Thank you so much, and great to see you again, though. So I'm glad you're still winning, as we say, right? No, I like Stephen. I've been to his Zoom shows. They're quite interesting.
Yes, I,
We
re-
love
I
to.
resonate a lot with Stephen because you commented on my deep thought and stuff, and
He thinks deeply.
he's very
He
deep. Like
thinks deep.
I'm part of his WhatsApp group in the global summit, and they've got so many things going on. What Stephen shares is very profound, counterintuitive thoughts.
I agree. I agree. I saw him for years. Literally on our event circuit, and then eventually I went to one of his Zoom events, probably about 6 months ago, and I was like, wow. You know, I was amazed. It was like you, not quite as bad as you because he used to come and talk in audio. So he was there, but you sort of like, does this man ever speak? Sean, you win the prize, my friend, for the man who's there but never says a word. And I really thought he's mute. This that Mero is the other one. I think doesn't talk. I've never heard him talk.
Um,
Have you heard him talk?
nope, I
Right.
can't say I have heard Merrill talk. I've gotten his, messages letting me know what's going on.
Mm,
Um, his comments, whether it's in my event or other events,
mm,
he's active, but I've
very.
never heard his voice.
Mm. Let's get back to the boundaries thing. I don't know. I don't know whether I should feel too willing or whether I'm just happy being me, and I think when I add the word being of service to the things that's really important to me,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to then draw a line, but I don't want to draw a line because I enjoy what I do. It's there's so much more to it than what I don't want people to do to cross, to upset. I don't know, to upset me. And I said you can't. It's hard to upset me because I refuse to be upset. I work because I like to work. I like to have that impact, and I'm happy in being. I'm happy in doing.
Well, and that's kind of one of the, in my study of boundaries and understanding them better, a lot of times we think the boundaries are like these wall. A lot of people see them as walls. Like, I've got to put this safety wall up. Like, you will not cross this line.
Mm, mm,
But what I've learned is a lot of it has to do with your presence, how you see yourself and how you that exhibits, when you have your identity solid. I know you've had a lot of events, any about, what if someone's sharing falsehoods or
mm,
gets disruptive. And yes, it happens to everybody. One of the creators I follow shared that somebody made a very rude racist comment on, or shared a racist link, and I'm like, I have no tolerance for that in any shape or form, any type of racism. you know I don't see color. I literally don't. Like,
mm.
I see a human being, and it ticks me off when people, you know, show their, as my mom used to say, show their butt.
Mm.
That's not the word that was in my head. I'm sure you know, but I have a
Yeah,
7-year
yeah.
old, so I try to stay G rated.
You've done well. You've done well. Yeah.
It's a tricky balance because, like,
Mm,
my old identity was the sailor, so my language flowed freely. But being a father of a young boy, I'm much more conscious about the words I say and where I say them.
mm.
There's still times I say them because I
Yeah.
believe everything, every behavior, every word has a time and a place where it fits.
Mm,
And the wisdom is like, this is not the place to use it. This
mm,
is. And that's what I teach my son but on the boundaries thing, I really believe, there are certain boundary busters in the world. They're going to bust boundaries. If they feel a boundary, they're going to push against it.
mm.
It's the way they operate. It's the way
Yeah.
they're wired currently.
Depends the way the world works, right? Yeah.
But
The whole point of having those rules is for someone to break them. The point of
right,
having boundaries is for someone to push against it, and and see how you react. I think but then again, I mean, you and I probably agree that they're just doing themselves. They're just doing them. They're not trying. It's nothing to do with me
right.
or my boundaries. They're just doing what they're going to do anyway. And then it's about how I react and how I take in what they're doing, how I analyze it, how I perceive it. You know,
Well,
and
and these are some, like, I have them on my wall. I have 14 presuppositions that I follow. The first one is a respect for the other person's model of the world. Right? I know their model. Sometimes, like you and I, there's some alignment. There's some shared threads. Other times, we don't share any threads, and that's okay.
mm,
But the other one is that I do is, everyone is doing the best they can at that moment with the resources they have available. So, like you said, if someone's pushing against my boundary
Mm.
in their map of the world, their belief system, that's the way they should push against the boundary to make sure it's solid.
What are your boundaries?
What are my bound? Well,
Yeah, and I mean,
family,
you ask us, so
family first, family
yeah.
first. So if I've got something with family, everything else can wait. And I have like I had a hard boundary that Thursday was our family day. So I don't usually commit to anything on Thursday.
Really?
No calls, no nothing.
Does that bring Saturday and Sunday into play for
Yes,
what?
because there's two reasons. For the last 8 years, I tutored English, and Saturday and Sunday are the busiest. That's when the most students are on wanting to
Mm,
do their calls because they work Monday to Friday and they don't have time, or they're tired. They get home. By the
there
time
is
they get
more.
home, they're tired. They don't want to study English. So the other thing is traffic is horrendous on the weekend. I don't even like to leave the house on the weekend. So we adapted that. And my son doesn't like the weekend off for school either. He likes Wednesday, Thursday off for
Mm,
his school days. And since we homeschool him, we have that flexibility. So it just works better. When we travel, we get lower hotel rates because we're midweek, not
mm,
weekend.
mm, mm. Yeah, I can see that just being all joy because it's having 2 weekends. You
Well,
know.
it's for me, it's about flexibility.
Mm,
You know, Generally I'm busy on Saturday, Sunday. I have been, but I have the flexibility. Like
mm,
if I want to take a Saturday off, I can.
mm.
So flexibility is a big one for me. Um, Boundaries. What other boundaries? Well, political fundamentalism of any shape, sort, or kind. Any of those isms. I will not tolerate isms.
And even socialism, which I think is a good thing.
I don't. I don't see socialism as it has been presented until now as
Mhm.
a workable solution.
Okay.
I I actually like I was, cuz like I see China when they were purely communist, they were failing. The nation was dying. When they introduced a little bit of capitalism alongside it,
Mm,
then they've been very successful. And Islamic finance, because I've talked to a lot of accounting professionals in Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries. Islam teaches, there are certain things that should be socialized
mm.
and certain other things should be privatized.
Yeah.
And so I like that balance. Like capitalism alone, it doesn't really work. Pure socialism
Mm,
hasn't been shown to work. But some blend of the two,
mm.
it works pretty good.
Yeah. Look,
In
if
my
someone who grew up with a Marxist ideology, or I say I grew up and I found it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. But that's not really what I was after, I guess. Socialism to me, it means different things to different people. There's different strands of it, right? And for
uh-huh.
me, it's by helping helping the poor, helping the less well off. That's why I can't I can't vote any other way. Then so no one really does what I vote for anyway. So God help me. Try
Well,
my
as I
best.
as I always said most of my life, Annie, let's look at the word politics.
Mm.
Take it apart, look at the root. Poly, many.
Mm.
Tick, blood sucking parasite. Because I've seen it, in my lifetime, I've seen it,
Mm.
you know, this person or that person, that party
Yeah,
or that party. It doesn't matter. They make big
agree.
promises
Mm.
and don't carry it out.
Yeah.
They get in office and everything's different.
Mm. Mm.
Because it's like watching historical stuff. Humans can be one of the most amazing, brilliant, innovative species on this planet, or the most horrible species on the planet.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
way we treat the planet, the way we treat each other. I can get behind what you're saying. A system that ensures everybody's needs are met.
Mm.
That makes a lot of sense. The problem is you have humans executing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then sometimes you have those who need, not understanding that they need. And then you're like, what the hell? Why am I bothering when you don't want to help yourself anyway? You know, it's
Yeah.
odd. It's odd.
Most
It's odd.
most people don't really know what they need or want.
Mm.
As a coach, you can get in a conversation. What do you want? What would make this time effective? I don't know. Like
Doing more,
most people haven't ever thought about it.
yeah, they're doing more of the same. They're just my comfort zone is what we need, right? Not
Right. If
wait.
we don't stop and examine, like we're often just like a freight train, just
Mm.
barreling down the tracks, and we don't stop till
Mm.
we feel that we can't stop. I've
Mm.
talked a lot about this on the podcast. That's some of that survival is like if I stop, I die.
Something's missing there, right? Something a big thing's missing, and that's
Right.
that's the
Yeah. I've,
problem.
I've
That's kind of
since learned that it's okay to just sit and do nothing sometimes. In fact, it's very good. And just stew in your thoughts and kind of let them circulate. I don't have to grab a hold of them. I can like, oh, look at them up there. Okay.
that's true peace. That's true peace of mind. I think when you can just observe yourself in your existence. Yeah.
It's a practice.
Mm.
And it's something that in my experience, it's something I have to do regularly because life, the world, the old version of me still likes to pop his head up and go, ha, 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 what are you doing over there? Let me suck you down in the hole again. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you,
Mm.
everyone, for joining because I got to get ready for lunch.
I'm glad I came up today. So normally I missed a chance. So I start the show, I watch a bit, and then I go and get a cup of tea. Then you're like, come on stage. By the time I come back, either you're gone or the link. It's like, damn, I missed another one. So today I was like, I'm going
We
to
got
sit
it.
here.
We made it today, Amy.
Yes. Thank you. It's a great conversation as always, Sean. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
I'll let you enjoy yourself while you close the show.